about now. There we go. And so since we're being recorded, again, I just kind of remind you that I post this on YouTube, so the whole world is going to have access to anything you say, and put in the chat area, so you want to use good judgment with all of that. Through the evening, I'll keep an eye on the chat, so that if you have a question, you can pose that at any time, and I will try my best to respond to it. Those of you who are viewing this as a recording, I will, as I'm going through, I'm going to pose a question and give the people who are here live a chance to answer. You will not be able to answer the way that they are with a poll and just kind of click on the screen kind of deal. But I'll let you know how people answered and what the poll looked like and things like that. Just a reminder for everyone that for the exam, as usual, you can have a 3x5 card with handwritten notes, and you can use both sides of that card. The exam is on chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12. Emphasis on probably chapters 10 and 11, but still some questions from chapters 9 and chapter 12. So without further ado, I guess I think I'm going to try to start us on a question here. Since it's been a couple, well, not a couple months, but probably 3 weeks since I've done this. I might be a little bit rusty, but we'll try to do the best we can. I have everybody muted so that my head doesn't explode because everybody's talking at the same time. And anyway, I'll give you a chance to answer. In fact, let me open up the poll there. You can kind of see, hopefully on your screen, oh, wait a minute. No, it's not on your screen yet. But let me, well, if I launch the polling there, it appeared on your screen, and you can just kind of move it to the side or something while I pull up the first question. And the first question will be from chapter 9. What type of intelligence, I've got so many things open here, I can't read it. What type of intelligence reflects reasoning, memory, and information processing capabilities? And I'm hoping you're able to, some of you are answering already. Is it practical, fluid, crystallized, or liquid intelligence that reflects reasoning, memory, and information processing capabilities? Again, if you're looking at this as a recording, you're not seeing the poll on your screen, but just seeing the question. So you just kind of want to pick an answer and see how well you either match your peers or find the correct answer. So it looks like we have 11 out of 19 have voted so far, and kind of stuck. Well, we're up to 12 out of 17, since two of those votes are mine. But okay, looks like we're slowing down a little bit, so I'm going to end the poll and let you see that most people went for number 3, crystallized intelligence, the type of intelligence that reflects reasoning, memory, and information processing capabilities. And I'm seeing I don't have the answer side. I'm not sure. How do you turn on the volume? Okay, I'm seeing a couple of comments here in the chat area. Oh, never mind. Okay, that's good. I don't have the answer side. It might have been off of Eden's screen there. But anyway, as you can see on the screen, that most people went for number 3. That's why it's highlighted in yellow. But the correct answer is fluid intelligence, number 2. That's our ability to reason and solve problems, learn new things. I think the possibility that liquid and practical were kind of, if you had your BS detector on, you probably threw them out. So the choice was between fluid and crystallized. Does anybody remember what crystallized intelligence is? Remember anything from your notes about that? You can use the chat area to kind of type something in. But anybody remember what crystallized? Yeah, facts and figures, hard facts. Yeah, I think I said like a diamond is a crystal. Crystallized intelligence is hard facts and figures. Fluid, yeah, it's a little bit more flexible, and that's probably the best way to remember the difference between those two. Those were the ideas of Raymond Cattell, who wrote back in the 1920s or so, but we still kind of use his ideas as it is. Okay, so I'm going to relaunch the poll, and that'll clear your answers, get us ready for another one here. And let's see what we got here. Oh my goodness, I got so many things on the screen, it's not funny. A woman senses from her husband's nonverbal postures and facial signals whether he's interested, bored, or pretending to be interested in what they're doing. She detects his feelings accurately, thus demonstrating a high level of what kind. Ooh, boy. I just gave you the answer. I don't know if anybody saw that one. Demonstrating what kind of intelligence, spatial, interpersonal, body kinesthetic. And for some reason, oops. Okay, there's the poll. So it looks like 10 out of 12. We have 19 of your classmates now. It looks like have joined us here. So we've got 11 out of 19 have put in a vote. So I'll wait just a few more seconds here. This one really shouldn't be too difficult since I kind of flashed the answer up on the screen already, which I shouldn't have done, but okay. How are we doing? We have 12 out of 12 out of about 19. So I think I'll cut things off here and let you see the results. And you should see on your screen that 83% voted for number 2, which is in fact the correct answer, interpersonal intelligence. Remember, that was one of Howard Gardner's, what he said, there are at least 8 different intelligences. I think I said math and music. What was another one? Body kinesthetic. Yeah, I mean, there are many different types of intelligence. Actually, I think I see a chat comment there. Can't see all the numbers. There were only 3 numbers on that last last slide there. So no worries on that one. Okay. So, oops. Let me relaunch the poll here, and that should give you a new screen to vote with. And let me pull up a new question here. I think it's another one from Chapter 9 on intelligence. Oh, here we go. What could you think if you knew that someone has a deviation IQ score of 125? She has below average intelligence, nothing, because the concept of IQ is no longer considered valid. She has above average intelligence. Her personality is probably abnormal in some way. So what's the best answer here for this question? It looks like we have 8 out of 18 have put in a vote. Oh, we're up to 11 now. So somebody has an IQ of 125. So what can you learn from that number? Or is it crap because we don't consider the concept of IQ valid any longer? That looks like we have 14 out of 18 people have put in a vote. So I think I'm going to end the poll. Let you see how people responded here. And as I share the results, you can see by the orange bar there that actually 12 out of 14 answered in one direction. They answered number 3, and number 3 is in fact the correct answer. And just for fun, let's see who's got the quick fingers today. What IQ score is considered average? Oh, Calvin. Oh man, that was quick. Surrender, 110 is at the high level of an average range, but 100 exactly is considered the average score. 90 to 110 is where most people really are. But yeah, let's stick with 100 as the average IQ score. And anything above that is above average. Anything below that, below average. So that kind of makes sense. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. I forget if I have another one from chapter 9 or not. Ooh, let me give you a new clear poll to register your answers there. Okay. So, oops. Okay, let's try this again. So, another question here. Ooh, many colleges require students to take a placement test in math to see whether they have mastered the essential knowledge before they enroll for an advanced course. Such a test, I didn't cover this in class, I don't think. Such a test is likely to be a what? To see if you have mastered essential knowledge. What kind of test is that? To see if you've mastered essential knowledge. This one's a little more challenging, I think. And we have, looks like 9 out of 18. Oops, we're up to 11 out of 18 already. Have put in a response here. Like I said, this is a little, well, I won't say it's an unfair question, but it's in your textbook. But I didn't cover this in class. I know that for sure. So, okay, looks like 12 out of 18 have put in a response here. So I'm going to end the poll, let you see. Oh my gosh, check this out. We have a tie between number 1, number 2, and number 4. At least nobody went for number 3, which was culture fair, and I think I explained that a lot in class, that when we make a test, we want to make sure it's fair to all cultures. But an aptitude test, let's look at this first one here. An aptitude test actually measures your ability to learn in a particular area. And the SATs are actually a aptitude test. They're the scholastic aptitude test. I may have mentioned in a couple of my classes the ASVAB, the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude battery, I think it's called, ASVAB. And that measures your ability to be a diesel mechanic or a radar technician or whatever. And an intelligence test measures a little bit of how much you know and how well you can learn, how much you know and how well you can learn. That's an intelligence test. Number two, an achievement test actually measures how much you've learned just by itself. What is that? PSSAs, Pennsylvania State Standardized, I believe it's an achievement test. PSSAs that schools get all hyper over that they're going to lose funding if students haven't achieved certain things. So an achievement test is the correct answer to this question, number two. So pat yourself on the back if that was the one that you picked. Again, I'm always keeping an eye on the chat area to see if anybody's jotted anything else down in there. Let me give you a new poll, chance to answer questions again, and see if I have something from chapter 10 now. Oh, yeah, drive theory. Okay. According to drive theory, people enjoy being in a state of physiological arousal. According to drive theory, a state of tension is unpleasant, and we try to reduce that tension, or people are motivated primarily by curiosity, or experiencing a physiological need is rewarding. Remember, we're talking about drive theory here. So what's the best answer to what drive theory is all about? Yeah, looks like a few people put in a vote so far. So what is it? Yeah, which one of these four things best explains drive theory? And it looks like we've got a few votes here and there for a couple of things. And 8 out of 21 have put in a response. Remember, by the way, if you want additional practice questions, if you go in the content area on D2L, there's a link to the publisher's website. And I had somebody who took the exam early. Actually, they took it today. And they improved their score considerably by using those practice materials on D2L in the publisher's website. So use those to your advantage. Okay, looks like 11 out of, we're up to 12 out of 19 now. So I'm going to end the poll and let you see how people chose here. And as I share the results, you can see a majority, 58%, went for number one, which, interestingly enough, isn't the correct answer here, because arousal, the arousal theory says we have a need for arousal or stimulation. That's different than drive theory. Drive theory means there's a state of tension, like a hunger drive, that's unpleasant, and we try to reduce that tension. So when you feel hungry, stomach starts growling, or maybe you're thirsty, your mouth is dry, you feel uncomfortable, and that is unpleasant, and we try to reduce that kind of tension. Oh, okay. Have I talked about reinforcement? I think. There's a type of reinforcement that I think is similar to drive theory. Would it be positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement? Here's where you can use the chat area again. Who's got the quickest fingers? Which type of yeah, use those abbreviations there, Surrenda and Abby. Good idea. Yeah, negative reinforcement. You're in an uncomfortable or difficult situation. Your butt's getting shocked, or you got the stupid buzzer going on your seatbelt thing, and you do something to reduce that. So drive theory is kind of like that. Thirst and hunger being what we might call primary drives, and um, the correct answer for this question then being number 2. Okay. Oops, wait a minute. Let's relaunch the poll here. Give you a fresh one. I'm guessing you guys have to move it off your screen the way I do in order to try to read the question here now. Probably a better way that I can do this in a different order, but let's look at a different question here. Maslow. The order of needs on Maslow's hierarchy of needs is what? What's the correct order of needs from the bottom up? Remember, he drew that pyramid. And which is the correct order that he put down? Now, I know I said we could switch a couple, but what's the correct order that Maslow said? Okay, seeing a few answers so far. Wait a minute. Somebody answered true. Okay. So what's the correct order? And we're up to, looks like 13, 14 out of 19. So just a few more seconds here. Maybe we'll get one more vote. And then again, maybe not. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to end the poll so you can see how people voted here. And as you can see, most people went for number 3, which is, in fact, the... Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm kind of wondering if there's a different way I can do things here and not have you need to move your poll off the window. So, okay. Okay, close that. Here, let's do it this way. I'm going to give you the next question before I launch the poll. Let us read it, and then I'll relaunch the poll. See if that kind of helps us a little bit here. Whoops, geez. Wait a minute. I think I advanced too far. Something happened there. Let me clear things away here. Oh, okay. Theorists who advocate a set point explanation of body weight are most likely to agree that what? Set point is the weight that your hypothalamus tries to maintain. So all of us probably have a set point. And that's what we're fighting against when we try to go on a diet. Oops, let me give you a new poll here now. Talk so long about that. So now you should be able to register your answer. What's the best answer here? Set point is not related to genetics. Weight set point stems from eating habits copied from peers. Set points are relatively stable, or they vary dramatically from month to month. What chapters is the test on again? Chapters 9 through 12, with heavy emphasis on chapters 10 and 11. I guess we're looking at chapter 10 right now. Okay. So it looks like Oh, we have 10 out of 19 have put in a vote so far. So I'll wait just a few more seconds here. We've been at exactly a minute now with the poll open, so I'll let it go just a few more seconds. We're up to 11 out of 21 have put in a response. So 11 out of 19. So let me end the poll then. I guess we're up to 12 now. Great. And as you can see now, most people went for number 3, which is, in fact, the correct answer. Yeah, weight set points are relatively stable. That's that thing that our hypothalamus is in charge of trying to maintain. It tells us to eat, tells us to stop eating at certain points. And I think I showed you all the picture of the rat that they took out the part that told it to stop eating. So it looked like me after a buffet. And but set points, whether you're trying to lose weight or even gain weight, your hypothalamus kind of fights you on it a little bit. I've never been pregnant, but um, some women actually have trouble gaining weight, the weight that they need in order to nourish the developing embryo and stuff. And it's probably because their hypothalamus isn't fully um, on board with allowing them to eat more than they typically do. Boy, if that was only my problem. I can eat cookies like there's no tomorrow. Okay, so let me stop sharing the results here, and I'll bring up the next question like I just did, and there it is. The theory that says we become aware of our physical reaction first and later feel an emotion is known as which theory? And I'll give you a poll in a second here, but remember, I had to give you the guys' names in order to kind of separate one theory from another here. So let me give you something to vote on. And here it comes. Okay, now you can vote for your best answer. We become aware of our physical reaction first, and then we feel an emotion. We notice that our heart's racing, or we're panting, or hands are shaking. Which one of these 4 ideas describes that or refers to that? Looks like we have 12 out of 19 have put in a response, or 12 out of, one of my things says 22 participants, one says 21, so I'm not sure which one to trust here. But looks like we have 14 votes in, so we're up to 15. So I'm going to cut it off in the polling and share it with you so that you can see. What is that? 80% voted for the first one, William James and Carl Lang. And that, in fact, is the correct answer. Walter Cannon and Bard. I forget Bard's first name. Carl Bard. Anyway, Walter Cannon and Carl Bard, they said that you see a bear and you feel an emotion and you react at the same time. And that's very different than James and Lang, who said that you had to, sense your heart racing and blush and stuff like. Philip Bard, thank you. Okay. Yeah, because it's William James and Carl Lang. Philip Bard. Okay. I knew it was Walter Cannon, but I was blocking on what Bard's first name is. Okay. Let me clear your screen so that you can see the next question, actually. And let's see if it should be from chapter 10 here still. Oh, actually, emotion and reason are opposites. 1 is true, 2 is false, just for fun. This one is just to break the monotony here a little bit of things. What do you think? Emotions and reason are opposites. Is that true or false? This is not on the exam, so don't worry about it. But just to have a little bit of fun here, not going to spend too much time on this, but looks like half of you have already put in an answer, so I'm going to cut it off here, let you see that. If I share the results, that about 70% went for true and 30% went for false. And the correct answer actually is false. They're not really opposites. Sometimes they can go hand in hand in some way, shape, or form, but yeah, not too much I want to say about that. Okay. Ooh, how about this one? Let me relaunch the poll right away. A polygraph can detect lies. What do you think about that one? And it looks like, 11 out of 19 put in an answer so far. And it's heavily weighted toward one of the responses here. Excuse me while I sip my coffee. And since it's not on a test, I'm not going to spend too much time, but I'll let you see. Oops, where are we going here? Results here, and as you can see on your screen, 77% said true. The actual answer is false. Polygraph tests don't detect lies; they detect body reactions, and they are somewhat accurate at detecting. I guess I will say lies, but they actually just detect your body reactions change. And I think I probably said in class, though, if you're ever asked to take one, I'd still take it, especially if you didn't do the crime, because it's not going to find you guilty. Okay, that was just to kind of break up a little bit of the monotony. I think we're going to chapter, oops, let me stop sharing here. That cleared your screen. And this is from chapter 11 here. Blank is a concept held about a person or group of people that's based on superficial, irrelevant characteristics. A little bit of a typo in there, but what's the best answer? Sexism, androgyny, stereotype, or discrimination? Here comes your poll. So you can now vote for the answer that you think is the correct answer here. I think this is going to be a bit of an easy one, just as I say that. Get a few different kinds of answers. So we're up to, well, looks like 11 out of 19 have put in a response. Up to 12 out of 19, 13, climbing slowly. So blank is a concept held about a person or group of people that's based on superficial, irrelevant characteristics. And let me end the poll and show you the results that about, 64% voted for number 3, which is, in fact, the correct answer. Sexism is, treating somebody based on their gender, basically. It's maybe a form of stereotyping, but not the correct answer here. Discrimination is excluding people or treating them differently based on uh, based on their belonging to a certain group, discriminating either positively or negatively. Those rich people who paid to get into those Ivy League schools or whatever, they kind of used discrimination to their advantage in a way because they had lots of money. Um, I have a question here. Uh, gender orientation and sexual orientation. If you remember those two, I took a little bit of time to differentiate between sexual orientation as your choice of romantic partner, and gender orientation, if you remember, is your degree of maleness or femaleness in traditional terms. That was asking on sexism. Well, sexism, how could I, trying to think. Sexism would be treating somebody differently based on their gender. Just discrimination can happen on many different levels. Age discrimination. Let's say I went to apply for a new job and they notice that I'm about to be 66. That would be age discrimination, where they're treating me differently, maybe negatively, because I'm about to, I'm such an older type of individual. Or if you're 17 and go for a job, you could be discriminated against as well. Sexism is basically discriminating against you, I think, because of your gender, being male or female. So hopefully that kind of didn't muddy the waters too badly at this hour of the evening. Okay, let me try to give us a different question here. Try this one. I don't think I mentioned this. Gender differences in cognitive and social skills suggest which of the following? I didn't mention this in class, I don't think. Men score higher in verbal ability than women. Women score higher in math ability than men. Men are more responsive to the emotional tone of speech, or women score higher in verbal abilities than men. So let me give you a new poll to vote with. Should have popped up on your screen right now. What's the best answer here for this one? Gender differences in cognitive and social skills. Kind of looking like, even though I may not have specifically mentioned it in class, people are heading in the right direction. And as soon as I say that, now we're still somewhat unanimous. Looks like 8 out of 21 of you have put in a response so far. Up to 10. Now, I'm not going to spend too much more time on this one. Oop, just as I think we have it made in the shade, we got a couple of variable answers here. So let me end the poll and share the results with you so that you can see that most people, 71%, voted for number 4, women scoring higher in verbal abilities than men. And that is, in fact, the correct answer. Traditionally, I think the gap is narrowing a little bit, but traditionally, if we give a reading test, women seem to do a little bit better on that. And unfortunately, when we give a math test, men seem to outshadow or overshadow the women on math tests. But I think I told you about a little bit of research about women and math tests and how they kind of get scared maybe, and it messes up their performance. Okay, let me give you a clean screen there. And let's see if I can pull up another question here from chapter 11. Whoa, okay. Which of the following is the shortest stage of the sexual response cycle? Excitement, plateau, orgasm, resolution, refractory period. Which one is the shortest stage of the sexual response cycle? And there's a new poll for you to register your answer. And it looks like 6 people have put in a response so far. So which is the shortest, lasts the least amount of time? Excitement, plateau, orgasm, resolution, or refractory period? And it looks like we're up to 10 out of 20, 21 people have put in a response so far. I feel like Alex Trebek waiting on what is that? Double Jeopardy here. Do, 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 do. Okay. I won't quit my day job. So, looks like we've slowed down a little bit. So I'm going to stop the poll and let you see that, in fact, most of you picked number 3, the orgasm phase being the shortest. And sometimes life just isn't fair, but that is, in fact, the shortest stage of the sexual response cycle. I think I told you that a pig's orgasm can last as long as a half hour. And although my source for that is the internet, so you probably want to take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, wouldn't we like to be a pig? So anyway, yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's sometimes wallowing in the mud would not be bad. Okay, let me. I did clear your screen here, so dead. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Which of the following sexually transmitted, should be an infection, STIs, but causes warts to grow on the genitalia? Boy, this sounds attractive. And may increase the risk of health complications such as cancer. Which of the following sexually transmitted infections creates all of that wonderful mayhem? Gonorrhea, herpes, human papillomavirus, HIV, or chlamydia? Yeah, it looks like, how many do we have? Oh, did I give you a new poll? Sorry if I erase everybody right now. I'm giving you a new poll to vote on. Hopefully I didn't screw up everything there. Okay, now you're able to vote for this question here. Which STI, or sexually transmitted infection, causes those a risk of health complications such as cancer? It causes warts. Yuck. So looks like 13 people have voted for up to 14 now. So I'm going to share the poll with you. And as you can see, most of you voted, how many? 43% voted for herpes, the second one. I was actually trying to steer you toward HPV, human papillomavirus. I do believe there is a vaccination now for that. When my daughter was younger, about 15 years ago, Gardasil was a vaccination for that. It was a series of 3 injections, and people were concerned about getting their daughters vaccinated because they were worried that it would cause their daughters to become sexually active, and that's certainly not the case. What it does is protect protect you from HPV virus. And yeah, they're encouraging boys to get it now as well. You know, and it's a very, I would say, inexpensive prevention for cancer. If you can imagine what the cost of having cancer would be, I believe it might be for cervical cancer that it provides some protective factor to it, but even just not to get warts on your genitalia would be kind of worth it. Who knows? Number one cause of testicular and cervical cancer. Oh my gosh, is anybody, I don't know if anybody out there is from Township, but I was just reading in the paper about a young man. He's on the volleyball team battling testicular cancer at his age, which is just, you know, I'm not certainly not saying he contracted it through sexual activity. Who was it? Lance Armstrong also was a victim of testicular cancer. So if things come out, I think that can protect us, lower our risk for cancers, I think we ought to be all for it. And you know, we're not used to talking about cervical cancers and testicular cancers, breast cancer, et cetera, but we got to get over our apprehensions and talk honestly about them. So, okay, where are we going here? I wonder if there's any parents listening today who kind of wondering what I talk about in class. Can you please say something about chlamydia? It's not a flower. If you remember this morning, well, some of you are from my Thursday class, I guess. I said one thing about chlamydia. Anybody remember what I said about chlamydia? It was in your notes. Anybody want to put it up? Yeah, it's the most common, exactly, Zell and Calvin. It's the most common sexually transmitted infection. We hear a lot about HIV and AIDS or whatever, but sadly, it is the most common. Yeah, it's curable, but that's one heck of a risk because you don't know you've got it, and some people carry it around a long time, and it can do some damage, some permanent damage to people if it's not treated. So I think we want to be real careful about it. Yeah, syphilis is probably treatable as well, but nobody wishes that on their uh, worst enemy, or maybe they do. Who knows? Okay. Oops, I think I hit the wrong button there. Oops. Okay, I gave you a fresh screen there. That's good. And let me give you a fresh question here. Women oftentimes don't know they have it exactly. And I think I mentioned in class that it can cause fertility problems down the road if it's not caught early enough in a female and probably in a male. I don't know that much about the long-term effects in a male, but I know in women it can cause fertility problems. So, okay. Which one is correct here? Sexual orientation can be changed. True or false? Sexual orientation, if you remember, is your choice of romantic partner. Can it be changed? Oops, I guess I ought to give you a poll here. Vote with. And here it comes. Okay. So one is true, two is false. What do you think? Sexual orientation can be changed. This is not on excuse me. This isn't on the exam. Try to take a sip of coffee there. Looks like we have, what, 12 out of 20 people have voted here. And let me show you how people voted. And as you can see, about 70% said true. And I made up these answers. True, false, and maybe. my sexual orientation is heterosexual. It would be as easy for me to change my sexual orientation to homosexual as it would be probably for my nephew who is homosexual to change to heterosexual. It ain't happening. Uh, it just is. I think I used the example of being left-handed. Um, it just is. And yeah, I probably could change to right-handedness, but it would take a heck of a long time. I do think, and that's why I put the maybe in here. It's possible if you have been damaged so much by the opposite gender, maybe, that you can't trust a single one of them, maybe your sexual orientation can be changed. But conversion therapy, I don't know if anybody's heard about that. Conversion therapy is where a person is, in therapy to change their sexual orientation from homosexual maybe to heterosexual or vice versa. Um, it's illegal in a lot of states to try to do that on a young person, and the American Psychological Association is adamantly opposed to even trying. Um, it just it's just not morally where we want to be, I don't think. Um, why should I have to change from being left-handed? Yeah, I'm glad you agree. If somebody is gay or lesbian, my nephew being gay, it just is. I love him. I don't see any reason to change him, just like I don't see any reason to change my left-handedness to right-handedness. It just is. And I hope everybody can accept that. So I know there are a lot of religious and cultural taboos regarding it, but what we know is homosexuality, sexual orientation, homosexuality occurs in every culture, no matter how religiously conservative or, will stone you to death, or um, even in Lancaster County among Amish, there is a population. So, it just is. It exists. I hope we continue to become more cognizant of the fact that it just is. Okay. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let me stop sharing there so you got a fresh screen and get you another. Ooh, all stereotypes are inaccurate. This is a quick one here. You can record an answer there. What do you think? All stereotypes are inaccurate, true or false? Again, this one just for fun. See how we come out here. Okay. Looking like 11 out of 19 have put in a vote here. So not going to spend too much time on this one either. Okay, up to 14. So going to end the poll so you can see. Semi-trick question, yeah. Share the results with you. And as you can see, we had half and half, 50-50. And I would say false, because some stereotypes are accurate, but does it really matter? I don't think stereotypes are a good way of conducting our lives. Get to know people as individuals. Yeah, I'm an older guy. I'm, like I said, 65, almost 66, but does that mean I'm like the typical 65-year-old? I hope not. I'm a college professor. Am I like the typical one? I hope not. So be careful about stereotypes. Get to know the person, and go forward with that. Okay, let me clear your screen there. Okay, here's from chapter 12 that we went over in our last class here. So, a parenting style that encourages children to be independent but still places limits on their behavior is called what? Authoritarian, authoritative, neglectful, indulgent. Whoops, let me give you a new poll. New way to register your answer there. Go ahead, you can register your answer now, I think. Which is the parenting style that encourages children to be independent but still places limits on their behavior? And it looks like, what do we have? About 11 people have voted. And we'll keep it open a few more seconds here. And up to 14. So I'm going to end the poll. And I'm reading it for those of you who are looking at this as a recording. And as I share the results, you can see that 86% said number 2, authoritative, is the type of parenting style that's being described here as encourages children to be independent but still puts limits on them. And that is, in fact, the correct answer. Authoritarian, kind of the military view for best, as my best example, very rule-oriented. You're going to give somebody a lot of push-ups if you're out of line. It can be punitive. And I think, as we said in class, can result in a kind of a rebellious kid or a kid who lies so that they don't get punished. So I'm not real in favor of authoritarian, this first one. Authoritative, yeah, I can live with that as a healthy parenting style. However, some children force you to be authoritarian. And but for the most part, I think we want to be a little bit more authoritative. Give them example, or yeah, give them explanations for why you want them to do certain things. Don't just shut up and sit down as a response when they ask a question. Okay. Should clear your screen now. Oops, why didn't, there we go. And again, I'm keeping an eye on the chat area if you've got a question. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Carol Gilligan. As compared with men, women are more likely to include what as an important part in their moral decisions? And again, this is all from that chapter 12 that I sprinted through in one class. You should have a way to vote for your best answer right now. And it looks like we have about 11 out of 20, 11 out of 19 have put in a response so far, and it's almost unanimous, which is pretty good. So I'm going to end the poll and share the results so that you can see that most people voted for the second alternative. Women are more likely to include compassion for people as an important part of their moral decisions, and that is in fact true. Using the chat area, does anybody remember an important difference between Kohlberg and Carol Gilligan's research, let's say? What was one important difference? Who did Gilligan study? Yeah. Yeah, no, wasn't into life. Yeah, she studied, yeah, exactly. Gilligan studied girls, and Kohlberg studied boys. In fact, just realized, if you use Gilligan, the G from her name, and girls, that kind of, a little bit of a memory trick there of sorts. But yeah, and as a result, Gilligan found different results than Kohlberg because she was studying a different gender, and genders are raised very differently. I think maybe because we give girls dolls early on, they become more nurturing and whatever. Could be instinctive behavior as well. If you remember chapter 10, I said instincts also drive human behavior. Okay, let's. I just noticed what I had put as number 3. Women are more likely to consider who they can beat up. No, I don't think so. Okay. Oh, okay. What other questions? I guess I've exhausted all the ones that I have. So I'm going to pull up the chat area here for myself to kind of see what other kinds of questions you guys might have that I can answer here. So go ahead and type them in if you do have a question that I can try to address. I think that this exam, number 3, is a little bit easier than our second and even the first exam. But that doesn't mean stay up all night and party and go in expecting an A. So looking to see if anybody else put anything in. It's not easy for you. Yeah, well, actually, I think I've shared with you Psych 101 was not easy for me either because I got a C in it at Penn State. Yes, chapter 10, chapter 11, the heaviest going to be questioned, but there's still going to be questions from chapters 9 and 12 about 1/3 of the questions are probably chapters 9 and 12, and 2/3 are from 10 and 11. Is there a slideshow of the notes? Yeah. Tiana, if you go on D2L, and for all of the semester, my PowerPoints are on D2L, grouped by exam. So you can pull up the PowerPoints from chapter 11, well, 10, 9, 10, 11, and 12, whatever, and take a look at them there. That's what I use up at the podium when I'm composing my lecture. I kind of have some organization to it into, what is it, an outline. But yeah, I give you the notes that I use. So feel free to use that. Also, like I said earlier, the publisher's website is a great source for vocabulary, fill in the blanks, multiple choice questions. Even the ends of your chapters have stuff like that as well. You are welcome. I see a thank you down there. And other, oops, kind of, yeah, okay. Again, I do hope this has been helpful. And if I don't see any more kinds of questions here, I'm going to call it a night. And what is the publisher's website? It's on D2L in the content area. And good night, Evelyn. In the content area, it says the link to the publisher's website. If you go there, it's actually a whole website about our textbook. It summarizes the chapters. It has practice questions. Do you need to know all the gender options? No. Just know probably the difference between gender orientation, sexual orientation. Thank you, Evelyn. Do we need to know all the gender? No. Surrenda has helpfully Con, if you look down in the chat area, Surrenda has posted the link to the publisher's website. When you go in, you want the student view, and then in the top left corner, it says choose one. It's organized chapter by chapter, and you can find a lot of, I think, helpful practice there. Surrenda says she uses it every test. Yeah, Calvin, I'll post a review in about an hour. I need to convert it on my computer here and then upload it to YouTube. I'll send the link out when it's when the review's ready. You're welcome, Con. Are the test questions based off the quizzes? Well, I think the test questions are based off of the chapters. That's the best I can describe it. Now, the stuff I went over tonight, I mean, there are points in there that will be helpful when you're looking at the test. So I don't give you the exact questions, but I give you maybe a little bit of a review of the concepts that I'm interested in you knowing. But again, you know, in this hour that we've spent, I can't cover everything. Same way during class, I don't cover everything that I probably want you to know, but I cover a good portion of it. Other questions from you guys? Great questions. Okay, well, seeing no more questions, I think I'm going to end the meeting, and I will see you at the exam. So have a wonderful night, CSL, and everyone else as well.